Welcome. In this video, we're going to explain the Bridge Water Separator CPS 2.5B, MK3, EBM 14X1. We're going to explain the filling of the separator, the filling of the membrane, the startup, automatic and manual operations, automatic oil discharge, recirculation to bridge, high pressure indication, and replaced membrane. Before we explain these steps, it's important to have some security precautions on the unit. In your manual, you can find it on page 3, 1.4, the steps to take in consideration before any startup or filling of the unit's CPS 2.5. At this point, we will begin with our demonstration. Step 1, filling of the separator. The first thing we have to take in consideration is that the separator must be filled with some sort of liquid, whether it's water or bridge water, before starting up. Okay. You cannot start up the separator empty. It could damage the pump. Okay. As a recommendation, when starting up the pump, make sure that the fan is rotating in the proper position. We are going to give you an example. Let's identify all the valves. First of all, here we have bridge water, okay, from the ship coming into the separator. Okay. Here we have the overboard valve, and here we have recirculation. Okay. Then we have oil test valve right here from this small dome from the separator. This is where the oil is collected through the end packs that is inside the separator. Okay. Here we have our oil discharge valve. Okay. On your unit, you will find the pressure switch. The pressure switch will be on top on your unit. In this unit, we have it right above the pump. Then let's identify the alarms that measures the ppm, okay, particles per minute. Okay, you can say this is what activates all the solenoids, whether to continue in recirculation or overboard. In your manual on page 7, 6.2, it will explain the filling of the separator. Make sure all your valves are closed. In this case, the bridge water valve is in closed position. Okay. Your recirculation valve is closed. Your overboard valve is closed. Your oil discharge valve must be open, because the concept is to fill the separator to the top. Okay. And the test valve is going to be open. This is where we're going to verify that the water is filling and this tank is filled. Okay. And here are the steps. What we're going to explain here is that our clean water valve must be open. This will travel water through the unit into the separator. This valve must be open. This valve must be open. This valve will be closed and water will travel through here, okay, and go through the solenoid. We will need to arm our switchboard in order for the solenoid to work. Okay. Clean water valve is open. Opening valves. Opening valves. And we're going to arm. Attention. As you can see, we went from 0 to manual. Okay. While pressing the oil outlet, it's bringing water into the separator. As you can see, water is coming out the oil discharge. The valve is open. And the button is pressed. Maintain with your finger with pressure. Okay. Now we will proceed to close the valve because we have verified that there's oil, in this case water, coming out of it. Next step, which is the membrane, we have to make sure that we have our oil discharge valve in closed position. Verify that we have our overboard valve closed, our recirculation valve closed, and obviously the bridge water valve is also closed. Once we have all our valves closed, we're going to proceed to push the oil outlet button. What this is going to do, it's going to flush water through the separator up to the membrane. Through this top vent, the small vent on top of the membrane, we can see water coming through. The idea is to see the water flushing out the top. Once again, we press the button until water flushes to the top out of the vent. Pay attention to the manometer. It may not go over 3 bars. Try to keep it between 2 and 3 to vigilate the pressure going through the membrane. There's water filling up. You can also keep your finger more or less here as feeling. Yeah, water is very, very close. Okay, now as you can see, water spilling, coming out. This means that our membrane is full. Therefore, we have to close our clean water valve and release our oil outlet button. Next step would be to put the cap on top. Put that in there. Okay. Now that we have our membrane and separator unit filled with water, we're going to proceed to open our valves. We're going to open our overboard valve. We're going to open our recirculation valve. We're going to open our bridge water valve, okay? And we're going to open our oil discharge valve, okay? And we're going to open our alarm valve, okay? Which comes from this unit, okay? The valves are all open. In this case, we're going to proceed. As you can see, we have started the switchboard and the operation lights, pump lights, bypass and overboard light should be lit. Now, what we're going to do in this step is verify that the pump fan is rotating in the proper position by connecting the cables to the motor. We are working without electrical tension for precaution and safety. As you can see, all wiring are properly connected. Line 1, line 2, line 3, and earth. From this point on, it's very important to verify that the fan is rotating in the direction of the arrow. By this case, if you cannot reach your unit with one person to verify, ask for help, for assistance. I'm going to verify, and my colleague is going to check if the fan is spinning in the proper direction. We're going to verify for 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3, cut. If your fan is not going in the direction of the arrow, you should make sure to come here and change one of the positions of the line, okay? Now that we have verified that the fan is rotating in the proper direction, we are going to start up our unit. There's 2 ways to start up, okay? Which is on manual or auto. You can find this information in your manual, okay? On page 8, 6.4 startup. We're going to proceed manually. As you can see, our pump is activated with green. Recirculation always comes out for nearly 1 second or half second, just for security measure, and then it will be discharged overboard. Your bypass light will be lit green. This means this is a normal operation, okay? Then, from our alarm, we will verify that our ppm are under 10, which means that everything is going overboard. As you can see from this demonstration from our lab, water is burning overboard. I'm going to stop, and we're going to do a startup in auto mode. Light, overboard, for a few seconds. In this case, our bypass light, and we're going to verify that water is being spilled overboard. Water, or in this case, your bleach water. And as you can see, our ppm is under 10. In this case, 0.2, 0.3. Every unit has a different alarm system, okay? And now we're going to do a demonstration of recirculation, in this case, in auto mode. As you can see, it's in auto mode, okay? By pressing the button of recirculation, we can see that it is recirculating back to bleach. Okay. And now, as I shut off the unit, we're going to do a demonstration, recirculation on manual. Okay, now on manual. As you can see, we're pressing our recirculation. And here, it's recirculating back to bleach water. Okay. What we're going to do now is a demonstration of high pressure, okay? This button will light in case of a blockage on the overboard valve or pipeline. Okay. In order to simulate this, what we're going to do is strangle our valve to demonstrate that the high pressure valve. On the other hand, in your case, you will have your pressure valve on top, but in this unit, we have our pressure valve below. So my colleague is going to strangle the overboard. As he's strangling, little by little, it's increasing the pressure valves. He is strangling. It's increasing the pressure valve. If it goes over 4, the alarm will go off. The alarm will go off, and it will shut down the unit. In this case, you would have to revise and check and verify both the overboard valve and recirculation or any obstruction. We will return the valve back in its place, in its position. Return the valve back in its position. In this case, you can shut off by back to 0 and make sure that your valve is open once the problem is fixed, and go back to startup. Okay, in this case, what we're going to do is a simulation of replace membrane. What does this mean? When it's constantly recirculating, okay, and it's going over the 10 ppm, we're going to simulate a replace membrane, which will mean that your membrane is filthy and it has ended its life. And the replace membrane light will be lit. And here is the demonstration. We're going to. Okay. Okay. Now we're going to press our recirculation and strangle. Okay, now it's simulating going through recirculation, and we're strangling our recirculation. And on this end, we can see in our pressure meter, it's increasing. Okay. Here we can see the replace membrane light is lit, okay? In order to shut off the sound, all we do is click. It will shut off the sound, okay? And then we reset over here, 0 and back to manual or automatic. I remind you that we have put our valve back in the open position. And this is the normal function of the unit.